Yes, guys, welcome back to We Are Tottenham TVs with your boy Dave and Ashmatic, bringing you your usual pre-match build-up. We'll be running for the next hour in the build-up to the game just before the watch-along starts, and we will be bringing you live lineups as they come out on the hour mark for tonight's massive FA Cup third-round game against Burnley. Ash, how are you keeping this evening? Excited FA Cup weekend?
Yeah, man, I'm very excited to see how we progress in today's competition. Hopefully, we can get the job done, unlike previous seasons, man.
Yeah, look, the last few years, especially the last few, we haven't had a great record in it. I think under Jose Mourinho, I think we went out to Norwich, Conte, we went out to Middlesbrough and Sheffield United. So we haven't had the best of history in it, going out to teams that we shouldn't be, that we shouldn't be really. And that's extended to the Carabao Cup, and I'd also argue to Europe at times as well. But look, it'd be interesting to see what sort of lineup Postecoglou does come out with. Just quickly, though, Ashmatic, just sort of, well, not brief news, actually, not quickly, because it's probably huge talking points. But, of course, Eric Dier has officially agreed a deal with Bayern Munich. The fee looks likely to be less than 5 million, which is expected because, he's only got 6 months left on his contract and he can sign for a European club for free and wait till the summer anyway. So we've recouped a small bit of a fee there. And I think when we brought him in, we only brought him in for about 5 million anyway. So we're sort of recouping that back. Obviously, Fabrizio Romano has tweeted as well about Dragusin, saying that everything is agreed with him personally. Spurs are going to make the official offer, which I presume they've been negotiating over. Spurs put the official offer over, and Dragusin hopefully will be in here at the start of next week. And Micky van der Ven and Sessegnon are both back in the squad tonight. To what capacity, we'll ask Ashmatic, but we'll start with the breaking news that Eric Dier finally looks like he's on his way out. And I don't know how he's pulled it off, but he's got Bayern Munich cash.
Bro, it's Agent Kane all the way, man. He's calling up his boss and he's like, yo, let's get some golf. It's all right down there in Germany. Like, I'll get some couple beers, Gugentard and all of that. So hopefully it's a positive move for him. Maybe he can win a Champions League with Kane. Could you imagine? Him and Kane lifted the trophy, armpits before us. But either way, we need him gone. He's been here for a long time. I'm watching the comments as well. Everyone's talking about the Eric Dier move as well. So if he gets gone, I'm happy. I'm happy for him. I don't wish any malice to him. It's nothing personal, but it's just not worked out for us in the last couple seasons, I think. And that's it, really. There's nothing much more to say on it. It's great news for us. I don't know if we're going to get any money for him, but I'm not fussed. It's another wage off the bill, and that means there's more space for a certain dragon to come in. So I'm all for it, bro.
I call him Count Dracula. That's my nickname for him, considering he's Romanian, and they have what's it called, Transylvania and stuff over there or something, isn't it? But look, with Eric Dier going, me personally, I'm happy for it. No hard feelings with it whatsoever. I think it's about time. I don't think he's deserved to stick around at this club for 10 years, considering the service he's given us, or even the performances on the pitch. And look, it was coming to an end anyway. I think we should have dealt with it in the summer and already got ahead of the situation and already had that second centre-back brought in. But with him making that move to Bayern Munich, it does free up that all-important foreign sort of place in the squad for registration, which does allow us to bring in that next man, Dragusin, Radu Dragusin. What's your thoughts on that? Because it did look like we were going for Debo. Now it looks like Dragusin is the one coming in. It was reported earlier, I think Tottenham went to Debo. That deal is sort of completely dead in the water now. What's your thoughts on it? A good signing by Tottenham?
Yeah, I'm quite excited by it. A lot of people were scared because they're like, oh, has he got pace? Is he quick enough like a Van der Ven? But when I looked at him, his recovery pace looked decent. Like, he's no Van der Ven by any stretch, but he's no slow coach either. So it's like Romero's not super fast, but he's got enough pace to get away. But what I do like about him is his height and his physicality. His ability in the air gives me so much confidence. And I suppose that'll give confidence to Vicario, someone that's commanded in the box. I remember that free kick against Aston Villa. We had two fullbacks in that position, not really demanding in the air. And finally, you've got a proper centre-back to defend those teams that like to be direct at times, like your Evertons, like not even Burnley, but, those type of teams that like to be in and over the top. So I'm really excited about his physicality as well. Quite similar to like a Romero, but he's front-footed. He doesn't back off like someone we know at the club that hopefully will be at the door to a certain Bayern Munich. But
Mm,
I like him, and also his disciplinary record looks pretty decent as well. So
mm,
bodes well. So you're getting the best of both. You're getting some aerial ability, which we're lacking, and then you're getting the
mm,
physicality, and then also front-footedness in terms of defending.
mm,
Now, people were worried about him on the ball because the statistics look really low, but I think in the team that he's playing for, he plays in the back three. They don't really play possession-based football, and actually, it's the fullbacks that actually progress the ball out of
mm,
the transition when they do play out from the back. So
mm,
that's why his numbers are probably a lot lower. But what I do see from him is those balls over the top, the switches of play as well,
mm.
really accurate. That makes me excited. The question mark is, can he do it in the Premiership? We know when he's under pressure, people coming at him really fast. Can get it under control and pass it out from the back with no pressure? I'm sure he can. He's played for
Mm,
numerous clubs as well. Even though he's 21, he has been at loan from Juventus to various other clubs like Sampdoria being one. And obviously he went to Genoa when they were in Division B and got
mm,
with them. And just to finish off as well, it was Paratici that scouted him at
mm,
Juventus from the Romanian club, and they were looking
mm,
for a fullback that could play out from the back. So that's what gives me confidence with
mm,
him playing at the back.
mm. Look, you raised some great points. Look, I don't profess to know a great deal about the player, but of course I have done a lot of research. I think it is important to highlight that he has played in a back three in a team that sort of relinquish a lot of possession and are happy to play without possession. So that would skew his stats in sort of terms of the stuff you're looking at. Can he come in and play Tottenham's way of playing, suit that system? Um, what I will say is I do think it'll take him a bit of time to sort of adapt to it, but I think he has all the right attributes to be able to. Let's not forget when we signed Romero, he came in from Atlanta playing in a back three, and when we signed Van der Ven, came in from Wolfsburg playing in a back three, and they all adapted to centre back. They all adapted very, very quickly to Ange Postecoglou's system, and I think Dragusin will. However, just to try and get out of that sort of mindset he is in coming into a new club, it will take him a little bit of time. But he does offer something we currently don't have, and that is a weapon in the air. Brilliant from set pieces. I think he's the highest, if not second highest, in the Serie A for aerial duels one. He'll be brilliant for attacking set pieces, but also one of our biggest problems that I've been on about since Jose Mourinho is how awful we are defending set pieces. You look at the last few games, teams are just putting the ball in the box and they're winning it every single time. So he'll give us that bit of sort of aerial ability, someone to be able to maybe combat that and counteract that, which is absolutely huge. So for me, I think huge plus, like you alluded to, Postecoglou was the one that brought him into Juve, like he did with Bentancur, like he did with Kulu. Now they're all over at Tottenham. I will also add, you look at all of our signings that we've made from the Serie A, Vicario, Udogie, Bentancur, Kulusevski, they've all had a massive impact at this football club. We haven't gone wrong, bar Galini, when we brought him in on a sort of loan basis to cover as a second choice goalkeeper. But every other sign has been absolutely spot on. And two things he does have, he has strength, and he also has what's the other one? Strength and power, which is sort of two main attributes that you really need coming into the Premier League to be able to sort of hit the ground running. You look at Doji, Kulusevski, Bentancur, big guys, physical, able to look after themselves, and that's half the battle. And Dragusin has that in abundance. I would say the only negative is for me, someone needs to cut that man bun off. Don't like a man bun personally. I would say that's the only negative when it comes to Dragusin. But I would urge people, I know there might be some debate, he's cheaper than Debo or typical Tottenham. But as we learned in the summer, Vicario, what did we pay? I think it was 16 million. And then compared to the 40 million Brentford wanted for David Raya, we've got the better deal. One thing I would say is give the guy give him time to come in here and settle without any sort of pressure on him immediately from the fan base. And I think we'll get a fine player. And last thing I will add is once we get him, I'm not convinced we need to go for another centre back for quite some time. You've got Romero 25, Van der Ven 22. Dragusin comes in, he's 21. Then you've got Phillips Dorrington, very, very highly rated, also highly rated in the England setup on the under 19s team. at 18 years of age. And then you have Vuskovic, very highly rated as well, coming in here in 2025 when he turns 18. So you'd like to think for the next 10 years, we're sort of stacked there with 5, 6 sort of quality options. And then we could focus our attention maybe onto beefing up that midfield with more options and stuff like that in the future. So I think there's a lot of pluses with this deal, and hopefully he comes in and hits the ground running.
Also,
look,
as well,
yeah, go on.
He actually came from Genoa, which Romero is at Genoa as well, which is another positive. So, and the fact that he can play, or he has played in every position along that back four, also bodes well, because it just shows how tactically flexible he is as well.
He's also supposed to be a great reader of the game, apparently, you know. And when you look at some of the stats he's very good in, heading, you have to stay switched on to be able to read the flight of the ball, put yourselves in the right position. Tackling, ranks very highly in there. Again, have to stay switched on, concentrated, and time your tackle. Put yourself in the right position to be able to make it. Clearances, ranks very highly. Again, someone that has to stay switched on, looking around, staying alert, waiting for that breaking ball, but also know where it's going to land and clear it. You don't just put yourself in them positions and it's luck. It's not. You read the game well. So, you know, hopefully we do see that come to fruition with this this guy. But look, Ash, we will move on. They're sort of the transfer news out the way. Micky van de Ven is in the squad tonight. Postecoglou sort of alluded that he might be in the squad. Whether he'll play some part, we're not quite so sure. Look, I didn't think Bentancur would start last week. He bloody did. Do you think we might see Van de Ven in the lineup tonight, or would you prefer to hold him back for Man United?
I used to be nervous, but I'm not nervous no more, man. Like, they're young, they're professionals. They know what they're doing. If he's ready, he's ready. And Ange is a man that he likes to protect his players at all costs because he knows the style of football that he plays and how taxing it is on the body. So I'd imagine if the Van is ready to drive off onto the pitch, then I reckon that, yeah, man, bring him on. If he's fit, that means we could play a lot more front-footed, a lot more aggressive. Burnley like to play the high line as well. So yeah, just bring him in, man. I'm very excited. I'm very happy for him as well. He's pictured a lot as well prior to this actual game in the stands, also at the darts and stuff. He's been about. So as soon as he got injured, remember, it was like a few weeks. It wasn't that long, and we saw him like in the gym already. We're like, what? Are you sure? So that tells me that the hamstring injury wasn't like full blown, if that makes sense. So I wasn't too mad, like concerned about it. The way he was pictured in the gym training, I saw him in training as well. I saw clips from the official website. So yeah, man, I say bring him. I say bring him in, and then he's got another 8 or 9 days to rest anyway. So like, there's no other. Correct me if I'm wrong. No other natural left-footed, left-sided centre back apart from Ben Davies. Do you know what I mean? Ben Davies is not a centre back. To be fair, he's a fullback. So yeah.
Yeah, look, when it comes to Van de Ven, it's one of these though, Ash. I really do hope we don't rush him back. Look, our medical department doesn't have the best record. And when you look at Sessegnon, right, the frequency of his hamstring injuries, and every time he goes out, he's out longer and longer and longer. So for me, I really do hope that if we do see him tonight, he really is ready. If not, and it goes again, it's only going to cause him more and more complications. And it's a shame because of how good he really is. So it is one I'm very nervous on him coming back. And it is about getting that timing absolutely sort of spot on. But look, we need him. You go to the first 10 games when he was there, we didn't lose a game. The last 10 games, we've lost 5. So we've been very up and down. Patches of form, patches of pure shit. With Van de Ven coming in, that sort of, you would hope, iron itself out a little bit more, because he's that, like you said, that sort of natural centre-back, and we really do need him. But I would be worried about rushing him back early. Also, Ryan Sessegnon, Ash, back in the squad again today as well. What do you think? Now, what I will say is, Udogie did pick up a sort of a knock towards the end of the game last week. Received a bit of treatment, but for that final 10 minutes, he was still sort of limping around. He wasn't as mobile. Is there a chance you see Sessegnon stepping in at left back and Udogie for Man United?
You see how you were more concerned? See, for Van de Ven, I was more concerned for Udogie, because for me, Udogie is harder to replace in that position. I think you put Ben Davies there, it's not the same. Do you get it? You put anyone else there in that position, it's not the same.
Yeah.
Like, I would rather, if your doggy had a tight hamstring and he wasn't sure, I would protect him more so. Like, if we had to, like, for Manchester United, I want our strongest team. And if that means he's got like another, if he comes on, like within what we got, 20 minutes left and the game's tight and he needs to come on, I'd say bring him on like in the second half. But if the hamstring's a bit wobbly, I don't want him to kind of risk it. So that's where my concern is with more so. Van der Ven's had the rest, he hasn't as much. I really like Udogie. He's a player that in that position, he plays it like his own. I think he's made the team of the season so far for Sky Sports as well. And also the Premier League. I think a few other sites have done their own teams of the season so far, and he's featured in it. Him and Vicario are featured in both of them. So I definitely would look forward to maybe if he did start, that means again you just have to trust the manager, because obviously the manager sees more than we do. But yeah, the way he attacks in that final third and the way actually he plays out from the back as well. And then it will also Bournemouth, those recovery runs that was getting us out of jail. When we had no Micky van der Ven, he was basically Micky van der Ven. He was doing his job and mopping. And I was like, right, why don't we use him like that before when Van der Ven was out? But anyway, I would be a little bit more protective of him in my opinion.
Do you know what? I'm glad you said that, because when I put on my predicted lineup yesterday, I actually took him out on that case. You know, I'd actually rather just make sure he's fully fit for Man United, because I feel that's where he's going to have the greater impact. You know, tonight we should have enough, even if Emerson moves out there, we should have enough to get over the line tonight. But Man United, we are going to need him at his best at Old Trafford. Just quickly on Udogie, Ash, before I sort of get into, you know, what you want to see. Should Ange mix it up? Should he see sort of go full strength? I know you alluded to full strength, but I want to push you on why. But just before we do, with Udogie, just quickly, I feel he gets himself into great positions going forward. But I feel there's times, you know, he sort of, I think he just lacks that bit of confidence in that final third. And I think if he gets that, he'd become so much more of a better player. Like, there's times I watch him, I'm thinking, pull the trigger and have one, you know, and he sort of just lays it off to somebody else. Do you agree with me on that, or do you think I'm being harsh? Because look, I'm not ridiculing. I think he's been sensational.
No, I'm 100% agree with that, because I said it last night on another channel. It's that, like, I think it's because it's defender mindset. When you've been brought up as a defender or a fullback, when you do get to that final third, you're used to crossing, you're used to passing, you're not looking to shoot. Your first thing is, where's my partner? Where's the person I can play in? That's what it is. So it's no surprising that goal, and the only goal he scored, is him running onto something like a Richarlison. He hasn't shaped his body when he's receiving the ball to open up his hips and then either place it, controlled shot, or sometimes you need to put your laces through it and just like hit it. Do you know what I mean? And put your head down and just get over the ball and just smash it home. But I just feel like because he is a defender, we forget that he is actually a defender. His first instinct, it just is what it is. Even Porro does it. Porro in that same position, sometimes his instinct isn't necessarily to shoot, but to cross. But Porro is a little bit more aggressive or front-footed in terms of shooting. He's more likely to have a shot than Udogie. Udogie doesn't shape his body to kind of line himself up to shoot. And that's my personal opinion. If he puts that in his game, listen, clubs are going to come trying to run and sign him up, because that's the next level. He's always in that position. He's always in the box. And if you're going to be in the box, you have to have a crack at least, because you never know. Keeper might not be sighted, might get a deflection. It might go in, first of all. You might surprise yourself. His shot might be better. Because by the looks of him, when he does cross and cut back, it doesn't look like he can't shoot. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't look like he's going to balloon it. But I just feel like within himself, it's just not his. He's not in his first thought to kind of like run onto it, open his hips, and then shoot.
Yeah, I completely agree. There's just times I'd love him just to be a little bit more selfish at times, you know, just believe in yourself a little bit more, because the thing is, he has it in him. He does it all the way up until the box, and then when it gets to the box, he's very happy just to lay it off. And I'm thinking sometimes, go for it, kid. you know. But look, he's been absolutely sensational. But look, Ash, the squad will be out in just a couple of moments' time. I mean, what sort of lineup do you want to see tonight, right? Because Ange Postecoglou, he's got to strike a better balance than what he did against Fulham. I understand why he made the changes against Fulham that he did. Do you think we might see something similar tonight, or do you think he will go full strength?
I think he went like, look, I see that him changing so much, I don't agree with, but I guess he wanted to see his squad in a professional and competitive environment, because it's all well and good seeing those players in a friendly environment, but when you're playing, he needs to know what players he can rely on, who he needs to count on moving forward. And guess what? Our season just changed after Chelsea, and good thing he did get to see those players in that environment, and he did get to, because he had to rely on them, he had to use them. And imagine he didn't use them in that cup game, they would have not maybe been ready, or think, you know, the gaffer's just talking, he never plays me, he doesn't really want me in the squad, I'm never going to get my chance. Do you know what I'm saying? So maybe that was the reason why he made so many changes, but I think it wasn't the right one to do. I think if you're going to make changes, make 1 or 2, 3 maybe most, and depending on what you need and what position you think, okay, if I switch here, I want to see how this player works with this player. Because let's face it, if you imagine you're like Dane Scarlett, for example, but then every other player you're playing with is like 7 or 8, they're not the first teamers, then you're not going to play as well as you could do, as opposed to if you're playing with Son on your left, Kulusevski's on your right, maybe Maddis is behind you, or Lascelles is behind. Like, it's different. Do you know what I'm trying to say? The quality is different, so you're gonna have a better quality of chances. So I would rather, if he's gonna tweak it, just maybe one pairing, like one centre back. I wouldn't be mad at if one centre back came out and it was rotated. And as I said before, if you know the doggy's hamstrings feeling a little bit tight, then maybe you maybe look at I can't even say it. A Sessegnon.
Oh,
There we go.
I will relieve you. Sessegnon is not starting tonight. But look, we'll give you the starting lineup. Of course, Vicario in goals tonight. A lot of debate around whether Fraser Forster should come in, but he has stuck with Vicario. Pedro Porro in at right back. Royal and Davies continue at centre back, with Destiny Udogie in at left back. Skip being brought into the midfield. Be interested to see whether he's at the base of the midfield or whether Bentancur steps in there to progress the ball. But Bentancur and Lascelles also forming the rest of that midfield. With Kulu on the right, Johnson looks like probably on the left, with Richarlison through the middle. And then to fill out the bench, Fraser Forster, Ashley Phillips, Dorrington, Van de Ven, Sessegnon, Højbjerg, Donnelly, Brian Hill, and Dane Scarlett. Now, Ash, I do want to get into a quick discussion on the youngsters in just a moment, but what's your initial thoughts on that lineup, right? You said all the reasons why you wanted to go strong. You happy with that lineup out there today? It's probably one of the strongest we could put out, with other players that like Sonny, Basuma, and Sarah all off the AFCON. Or AFCON and the Asian Cup, sorry.
Ange has clearly been listening, because he saw what happened with the League Cup. He saw the backlash, and he's like, listen, it's time to get serious. Do you know what I mean? And I want to show intent, not just to the rest of the cup, the people in this cup competition, but I want to show to the fans that I'm taking the cup seriously. That's what that starting lineup tells me. But yeah, I'm quite excited for that, because I'm hoping Burnley have made loads of changes. We just can kind of like, and also, as much as we might not like certain players in certain positions, at least we know they've been playing with each other for the last few weeks now. The last few weeks they've been playing with each other, and there's some type of rhythm, if that makes sense. So it's not chopped and changed, which is a plus in my eyes, in my opinion. I do want to see the youngsters. I know you're going to get into that. Or I do want to see some of the players that are on the bench at some point. But I would prefer to get it over the line first, maybe get a 2-0 buffer, and then start introducing and start bleeding in some of these youngsters, or some of the players that are fringe, start putting them in. As opposed to, if we started with them, then people will be like, have that question mark, oh, we didn't take it serious, we're not taking the cup serious, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like up and down. With this way, there's no real argument, because he's basically saying, this is it. Like, it's a Premier League team. I'm respecting what's his face?
Burnley.
Burnley's manager, company. I'm respecting company. And I'm taking this seriously because let's face it, Burnley's results have started to pick up and some of their performances as well. So it's not like it's a League One team and you take the piss, you know what I'm saying, or a championship team. And no disrespect to those teams, but like we're at home and it's a Friday night, we're under the lights. Let's get the fans behind us. Let's really go for it. So I think just going through the lineup, Bentancur is going to be the 6. I think he's going to be at the base. And I think the reason why he's going to be at the base, because he's going to help with the transition when we play out from the back.
Yeah.
And I think Skip's legs and energy, he's going to be the up and down, a bit like Sarr. Obviously not the same quality, but he's going to be providing that 8 service. And then on the other side, it will be Lo Celso. But I think at times, we won't just have that straight 4-3-3. I think at times, Skip will kind of sit back and sit alongside Bentancur, and maybe sometimes we'll do a 4-2-3-1, in my opinion, with Lo Celso playing as that kind of creative 8 in that kind of hole. So, but yeah, everything else is the same. Kulusevski's going to be on the right, Johnson on the left, but I do expect at some point they may change over. I don't think it's going to say like Johnson's just going to stay on the left and Kuli's going to stay on the right. If things aren't working, we've seen him do it at West Ham, where he's kind of changed the wingers over. That last Brian Hill, but I'm just thinking maybe that might swap over at some point, or Brian Hill might come on and he might swap over. But yeah, pretty much the same otherwise.
No, look, I completely agree with you. I think the game plan is obviously try and get the job done early and, you know, be able to offload the bench with half an hour to go. However, you know, let's wait and see whether it is going to be that easy. It was the same plan against Bournemouth. When you start Bentancur knowing he's not going to last 90 minutes, it was to try and get it done early and sort of pull your players off. It didn't exactly work out like that. It was a bit of a cagey game, although we did get over the line. So, look, I really do hope so, because it's up to these guys as well, you know. As much as I do want Ange to play some of these kids and give them their opportunity, I'd argue there'd be no harm in playing a Phillips or a Dorrington over the likes of a Royale or Davies. At least they're natural centre-backs. They're a partnership ready-made from the under 21s. They've got off to a great start. And, you know, when you look at sort of Emerson and Davies and some of the games we've sort of participated in with them at centre-back, they look lost at sea. They average, I think, of 2 or 3 every time they play in that back line at that centre-back partnership. And we know that's not sustainable going forward from last season. So, you know, I do think we look down at the youngsters and sort of look at them and go, well, they'll come in and weaken the team. But I'd argue necessarily that may not be the case. Name me a youngster that's come into the team over the last few years and weakened it. There hasn't been, because we don't give them their opportunities. And we keep resorting to the same guys. However, I am delighted that Postecoglou has sort of gone with what he sees as his strongest lineup, and that he is taking it seriously. He's looking to get us into the next round. I just hope that some of these other players out there that are selected to go out there and get the job done so that we can give the kids minutes, so that they can get on and have a good half an hour to show what they're about. But Ash, if you're the likes of, you know, Phillips, Dorrington, Donnelly, and I'd even stretch as far as say Gill. I know he's a bit older. But what do you do? Because these are the sort of games where you're chomping at the bit to hope to maybe get minutes, maybe get selected and stuff like that. And the longer we go in it, the less likely they are going to be selected, and the less likely they're going to be selected in the league, especially with a lot of the injuries coming back. Do we keep them around the club and, you know, under 21s playing for them, training with the senior team, filling out the bench, and, you know, they'll probably get opportunities next season because we will be hoping to have a squad to go on all 4 fronts? Or would you be looking to maybe send them out on loan, continue their development? Because one thing I think everyone would agree with is they're all very, very highly talented. Ashley Phillips, Dorrington, Jamie Donnelly, they play in the same under-19s team that Hinsel Hellwood does at Brighton, you know, for England. And he's playing week in, week out at the minute and stuff like that. So what do you do if you're these kids when you're in the same squad as some of them and you see some of them playing week in, week out, but we just don't seem to want to give them that opportunity?
I wouldn't be mad if one of them started. I wouldn't put the pair of them on because it's a completely fresh centre-back pairing at a different level. I think that would be more of a gamble. But if one of them came in, I would be more like, okay, cool. Let's see what this kid's got. But I totally agree. I think loan for me, if we're not going to play these kids, but I think the reason why they're still there is because it's so thin. When Romero got injured and Van der Ven was out, you have to have them, if that makes sense. Because
Yeah.
if you send those players on loan, then what have we got? Do you know what I'm saying? Because imagine Davies gets injured now, then we've got nothing. We can't afford to not have them on the bench. They literally are there. And I know I get the frustration because you want to see, we know what Davies provides. We know what Rael provides. Do you know what I mean? We know how they play at the back, how they defend, etc. And it's more appetizing to see something that you don't know because you've got more higher hopes. Do you know what I mean? Let's face it, no one knows what they're going to be at this particular level. Our under 21s, yes, we've seen the level and we know the attributes they have, but it's down to the gaffer. Like, he's seen them more than we have, like not just in the under 21s academy. They've actually seen them in training with the seniors. So he would be looking at them closely. You know, Ange doesn't really do much. He kind of just, his eyes are just watching. He stands there. He's just micro analyzing everything. So I'm pretty sure for all the years of experience of coaching that he has, he'll be a good judge, not just of a footballer, but of character, of mentality, and how that person reacts to certain things, because we don't know how they react to 60,000 fans singing your name. Do you know what I mean? Under the lights, that ball comes at you really quite fast, because these type of games, you've seen it when they were in the friendlies, Aston Villa versus Newcastle, when they were in the cameras, how quick the game is. It's mad fast. So we don't know how they are as, like, they're young men. And I'm not saying they're gonna like fold under the pressure. And I'm not saying the fans will get on them, but at the same time, you want to kind of help their development. You want to kind of guide them in the right way. So I wouldn't be mad if they went to on loan to another championship or another club. You know, I think that's the best way for me. But I do understand why they're there on the bench, because we're literally into our actual depth of our squad. We're actually in it. Like, some people say, "Oh, we haven't got enough depth." No, but we're in our depth. We're actually using our depth right now, bro.
Yeah, deep into it.
But yeah, so that's my answer to it. But like I said before, 30 minutes to go, 20 minutes to go. It's just down to Ange whether he wants to kind of how comfortable of a win we are. Like, because if it's 2-0 and we bring them on, it could still be 2-1. You know, they like to add time on. You know, the VAR. You know, these referees. Do you know what I'm saying? They might want a cup upset. You just don't know. So even at 2-0, I wouldn't be super mad if he didn't bring him on with half an hour left or 20 minutes left. Makes sense. Because centre back's different to like a midfield position. Bring a Burnley.
Do you know what? I completely hear what you're saying. I think you make some great points. Just me, if I'm one of them kids, and you know, I see that they're at sea that them two in the last few games. You know, they have made games harder to win because they're not a great partnership back there. And then when you see us keep turning to the likes of some of the older players like Davey, so I think his form has completely dropped off since them 2 good games he's had, and we keep turning back to him. What have you got to do to be given an opportunity? I think it's more demoralizing for me, being constantly played behind these guys, this, that, and the other, not getting that opportunity than I am when I'm actually given the opportunity, if you get what I mean. If I'm one of them and I'm given that opportunity, I think it builds my character. It helps build my character when I'm constantly being overlooked, which is symbiotic of all the other years gone by. It breaks me personally, you know. And every footballer tell you they just want to be playing. Look, maybe it's a case where Ange Postecoglou is waiting for the right moment to put them on display and have a look at them and assess it from there. Hopefully that will be today, because I'm a big advocate of us pushing through some of these academy players. We've made a big change to the whole academy setup, the payment structure, everything else, to be able to get these guys to commit and push forward into the first team. So at some point, we have to look to start developing them, and you can only develop them by playing games. We're one of the only clubs that doesn't do it. Through all the crisis Newcastle have had, Lewis Miley was given an opportunity. He took it. Kobe Manu at Man United. Herbie James and young Bob at Man City are getting opportunities now. They're taking them. Who else have you got? There's other clubs there. Liverpool played some young guy in beside Virgil van Dijk there. I think it was actually against Burnley in the Premier League not so long ago. He done well when he stepped in. Other clubs are giving these guys the opportunity. We just don't seem to give them the opportunity, and we make all the excuses to not give them the opportunity. And if I'm one of them, I'm very, very frustrating. However, I am on the cusp. I sit there, I buy my time, I'll be patient, I'll wait for it. And when it does come, it makes it even more sweeter and you'll be even more riled up and ready to take it. So hopefully it would have that sort of effect on them. Now, Ash, we've got a member for 23 months. Big up Brandon Troller, absolutely unbelievable commitment. He says, Big Dave and Ashmatic, to those living in New York City, tell your bosses you're gone sick, ill for Ange Ball. Get out of work and head to Flannery's Bar. So I presume that's where Brandon Troller is right now, in Flannery's Bar. He obviously wants to have a big Spurs contingent around him. So make sure if you are around in New York, get down to Flannery's Bar and celebrate with Brandon Troller. Great character, slightly bit mad, which I absolutely love about him. And he knows that. So big up, Brandon. Hopefully you do enjoy your night and hopefully you have a reason to celebrate and maybe get on the doubles later on, of course. You know, safety is paramount, so don't overdo it. But hopefully you do have the reason to celebrate Brandon Troller. Ash, so we've discussed about the team. We've discussed about the news. One more thing maybe I want to bring up before maybe we end off is, look, it's 33 years since we've last lifted the FA Cup, that famous game in 91 against Nottingham Forest. Since then, you know, we sort of struggled to get over the line. And back then when we won that, that was our 8th FA Cup. We had won more than any other club. Since then, Arsenal have gone on and overtook that and stuff like that. And it's a competition that we haven't really prioritized in, you know, quite some time. What do you put that down to? Do you put that down to the management and the players? Or do you put it down to the board and their focus? Because when you take into account the prize money from a Carabao Cup, from an FA Cup especially, it's absolutely nothing. It's pittance. Half of them earn more in a weekly wage than what they would getting out of a prize pool of winning the FA Cup, compared to the league and the Champions League. Who's to blame here? The management and the players, or is it a directive coming from the board? Just concentrate on the league and Champions League. That's where we get our big money, and it's where you will get your transfer budget from.
First of all, I want to big up Frederick. Could give him a shout out. So big up Frederick, and also anyone else in the comments as well, man. But yeah, you know what? It's by the looks of it, as years have gone by, the club have made it clear that they want top 4. They want top 4, and we've said it 100 times. We've gone over it 1,000 times with the whole Jose Mourinho thing, where he was sacked before a final because I don't think the chairman wanted to pay out. I think there was a clause in the contract to say if he won that trophy that he might have to pay a bit more.
Give me 1 second there, Ash. I have a knock at the door. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, fine. He might have to pay to get him out. So who's to say? And I'm not a fan of Mourinho, like for the style that he was playing. But who's to say if Mourinho won a cup, he didn't go and push on and start being a real manager for us, so we started winning things? Because sometimes you need a trophy to kind of lift the club, lift the fans, lift the players, and then the players have that kind of, oh, this is what it feels like to win. All right, cool. Mentality changes, and then we start pushing on into the other areas, so we start to get that top 4 that comes with it, you know. But cups coming back into the FA Cup, hopefully these players, they will want to lift something. All of them are winners. Like Ange's a winner. He's going to want to lift the FA Cup with Spurs. So that is the reason why we are starting such a strong starting 11, in my opinion. So I actually think that we're going to go along and we're going to try and push on and go for this. So I think it is the board, but at the same time, I'm not going to be one of those fans and say, you know, the players haven't got anything to do with it. I think the players are responsible as well. At the end of the day, you're the ones that are playing the game. You're the guys that are on the pitch. You're the ones that got to get across the line. The board aren't playing on the pitch. One quote that Mourinho said, he was like, someone said to him, "Oh, are you afraid of getting an injury because you're playing a full strength team. He said, am I afraid of getting an injury? You can get an injury in any game. Do you know what I mean? So that just showed me Mourinho's mentality towards the cup competitions. Do you know what I'm saying? And I thought it was a great answer. So in my opinion, this is basically mirroring what Jose Mourinho said and how he's treating the competitions. Obviously, Levy came out recently when they had the fans sit down and the fans were asking questions, and Levy came out and said, look, I want to win cups. I'm here to win. I'm here for glory. You know what I mean? So maybe their tune has changed, and maybe now they're, you know, adopting a different approach when it comes towards the cups, especially after the backlash, as I said before earlier, with the League Cup. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens, not just in this game, but I'm assuming we're going to win. So games coming after this, I want to see if we're going to carry on with that full strength, especially if it gets a bit tight. But imagine if we don't get the W and we have to do a replay. Do we do a full strength again? I'm assuming so. And how will we react towards that if it's in the middle of a league game? You know, I thought I'd throw that out there as well.
Yeah, look, for me, I think it is set from the culture from the top. Pochettino, you know, relative sort of deserved the Tottenham job at the time, but a novice to a big job like that. And, you know, the directive from him was, you know, not really asked about the domestic cups. You know, Champions League and Premier League is where it's at. And, you know, I get that Daniel Levy has come out and said that he does want to win trophies. However, you know, sometimes put your money where your mouth is then. You know, you look at other clubs, right, that win it. City, your Chelsea's, your Arsenal's, your United's, Liverpool's, who have picked it up over the last 33 years that we haven't, right? The difference is their squads are built to challenge on all four fronts every single season, you know, and it's seen as a success or sorry, a failure if they get knocked out, even of a domestic cup, you know. But I don't think at Tottenham it is. I think it's more seen as a relief ground. We can concentrate on the big prize pool. And for me, I think that's the big difference. I think we've hired managers who do like winning trophies, like Conte, like Jose Mourinho, and like Ange. Look, I do think things are changing under Ange, but with Jose and Conte, we never really gave them the squad to challenge for all four fronts, despite maybe on the front looking like we are bringing in a manager to try and win the trophies. It all comes down to having that squad. We don't gear it up for all four fronts, and we sack managers based on not getting top four in the league. So that automatically shows them where the club's priority lies. And also, I've no doubt that they'll be told, you focus on the league and Europe because it's where your transfer, which is going to dictate your transfer budget. The League Cup ain't, the FA Cup ain't. And I have no doubt they're being told that's more for personal gain than anything else. So look, for me, you know, and I do think that comes from above. I don't think there's a big push for it. I don't think it is a failure if we don't win these competitions. Look, Pochettino tried; he got us close. You know, Jose Mourinho tried, Conte tried, but we just never had the squads to be able to challenge on all the fronts. So they've always had to sort of prioritize the league finish over the domestic clubs.
And just to add to that as well, I think getting that top four, that Champions League money helps corporately. So when they're trying to sell corporate spaces, when they're trying to wine and dine and bring their business clients through, when they're trying to sell seats to their people, they need that. This club and this stadium was built for Champions League and Champions League nights. That's the whole premise of it. And that was probably in the deal when they were trying to get their loan to pay for the stadium. Like, it's not just going to be once a week, because when you got Champions League, that's midweek as well. So that, again, that's extra revenue. And we spend about 1.5 million or 800,000, actually 800,000 per game, just on food. And so if you can get people in an earlier, 2-3 hours earlier, and you get them staying for longer as well, which has been happening after those wins, like people being like going crazy, staying longer, drinking more, eating more food, the revenue is going to go higher up. So of course, top four Champions League is going to be, because a cup competition, imagine you only get like, what is it? How much million is it? You don't get a lot. I can't remember the exact figure.
I don't even think it's 10 million. I think it's way below that.
It's 6 million. I think it's around 6 million they get for like an FA Cup. Something ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? But it just shows you, like, they're about their money. Do you know what I'm saying? they're a business. They're business first, and we're the fans. That's the reason why we suffer at the end of it. But before you just do your score prediction, I just wanted to throw something out there real quick. I know you got to cut real soon,
Oh,
but
right.
I just thought going back to that whole youth thing, you know, Mason played Emerson Royale at centre back. Do you remember?
Mm.
Do you think he's got anything to do with that? Do you know what I mean? Because he's in the backroom staff. Do you think he's like champion playing Ben Davies and Emerson Royale at the centre back position? Because that's what we did. Remember when we went to, because we went to a back four at one point, or it was like, and it wasn't back four. It was still a back three, but Emerson Royale was like one of the defenders in it. And do you think,
Yeah, right sided centre back.
yeah, do you think Mason's got something to do with that?
Yeah, maybe he does. Maybe he does. Look, I think Emerson is a good squad player. You know, one that can fill in at left back and do a job without really costing you. Come in at right back, do a job without really costing you, and come in at centre back to a large degree without really costing you. Look, if it is Mason pushing it, I don't understand why. Look, personally, I think the sort of youngster situation. Was it Tim Sherwood done an interview with, I think it was Simon Jordan,
That was
and
it,
he
yeah.
said that, you know, he wanted to play Harry Kane, and Levy was down asking him why he wasn't playing Soldado with the big money that they spent on him, and that he had accepted a bid for Harry Kane, and he was ready to cash in on Kane. And then basically Tim Sherwood basically told him, you know, you'd be a mug too. He played him for the following game anyway, and he ended up scoring, and the rest is history. But I wonder that them conversations also happen with other managers, you know, because I can't see why some of these guys would continually put players out there, especially in Jose's and Conte's case, who continually let you down every single week. I just don't understand why you would do that, and you wouldn't resort before you're on your way out, turning to some youngsters and putting them in there to see if they can change the tide. So I wonder, is there a bit of influence? Look, let's wait and see. Let's wait and see. Just quickly, Faz Rafar 3-1 Spurs says, my Tuchel sacking is coming true if he signs Dier. Look, I'm not sure he'll last that Bayern that long, to be honest with you. Look, signing Dier, I think that's more to piece Harry Kane, like Ashmatic said, or maybe do Tottenham a favour. You know, we said to them last summer, well, if we need to offload someone in January, you better take them as part of the Harry Kane deal. Who knows? But look, not a great signing from Thomas T. Tuchel at all. But look, we do have to end off. I've got my own watch along to do, which I can't wait to get going. I know Ash has his own things to do as well. And the boys in the studio are itching to get going. So we'll get the score prediction from Ash. What's your score prediction heading in tonight, and where can people find you?
I reckon Spurs will score. I'm hoping a 3-1. I'm going to go for a 3-1. I reckon we'll concede because I think they put out a pretty strong team as well. So they've got this kid. He's a dribble merchant. I think his name's Odobert. Really, really strong dribbler. And they've got a strong forward in Foster. So they might give us a little bit of trouble going into it. So I can imagine us conceding a goal. When we did play them at their ground, we did concede first. We did concede 2. So I do expect to see goals in this game. I don't think it's going to be a complete wipe over. As I said before, he's actually got them playing. Company's got them playing now. So they're not going to roll over. They're going to take this serious as well. And like us, they've got a long break too. So, but I'm still positive in the boys. When we're playing at home, we're like a different animal, especially when we're facing the South Stand. And that's where you can find me at Southview Coys. You can find me at Southview Coys. Big yourself up, Dave. But yeah, thanks for having me on again. Big up We Are Tottenham TV and the boys in the studio. Big up people in the comments. And hopefully we can get the win done, man. Hopefully we can get that win done.
Oh, I hope so. I agree with you. Odobert, he loves a good run at players, and also what's his name, Foster or Forrester, whatever you want to call him, Foster. Yeah. You know, he's handy as well. So look, what I will say is I think they have a big game next week, or in the Premier League coming up, sort of relegation clash. You know, is the FA Cup their priority? I hope not, and I hope that shows in their performance tonight, so that we can get through to the next round. But look, everybody, also big up Ash, because little secret, the show wouldn't have happened without him today because we would have had no guest. So everyone big up Ashmatic for making it today. And please get over there and show him the love over on his own channel, doing some great things there. So please get over there and share the love. As for me, look, I'm going to go Tottenham 4-0 tonight. I don't know why. I just think we'll get the job done nice and early, get the kids off, or get the kids on, sorry. And I question how much Burnley will be up for this. You know, I know they went to the quarterfinal stage last year, but they were also top of the championship. They can have that run at the FA Cup. This year, I'm not so sure it's quite high on their priority list. And I think sort of Company alluded to it as well. He's sort of happy that they got the big draw earlier on rather than getting a run and being knocked out at the quarters and expanding and wasting energy and stuff like that.
Who scored for you? You said 4.
But you know what? Fun fact, none of the goal scorers. None of the goal scorers from that 5-2 are playing tonight. Son scored a hat-trick, Madison scored, and Romero scored a screamer. None of them are playing tonight. So we're going to need complete new scorers. Look, Richarlison, it's got to be on his shoulders, right? He's with Son gone to the Asian Games, whether he likes it or not. The burden and the weight of the club is now on his shoulders, and it's up to him to carry it with a bit of pride and go and bag us a couple of goals. I'd love to see Johnson chip in with a goal tonight. I'd love to see Cooper score sheet. I want to see his celebration.
What about the captain? Because the captain, imagine he scored. That would be a massive boost. Bentancur got a goal, and I know he's playing the 6, but you know, you never know.
The love he'd get as well if he scored. I think everybody'd love to see that. You know, and you know, it'd be really nice for him, Ash, wouldn't it? You know, look, you know more than I do because you know you're in that sort of world. But you know, coming back from them injuries and stuff like that, it's not an easy thing to do. You know, you have to go through some dark places. And when you're seeing everyone else out there training, you're seeing your team win games, it only affects you even more. So, you know, you have to have the correct mindset to come back and hit the ground running. And I'd love it for him because it'd make it all worthwhile, you know, if he does get that when he comes back. And guys, you can find me over at the Irish Hotspur. If you don't know, get over and get to know me. I'm a legend, so I'd appreciate the love over there as well. But make sure you do show it to Ash as well. But look, that's it from myself and Ash. Great talk. I've really enjoyed this discussion actually today, Ash. Good back and forth. I really enjoyed. And everybody else, hopefully you out there enjoyed it as well. Make sure you smash that like button. Come on, you Spurs. In the big hands we trust. We never stop. I'll hand you over to the boys in studio. Let's go.
Let's go. Come on, you Spurs. Come on, you Spurs.